Kenyatta University peer counselors with me here. I have Beatrice and Kange'The here with us to share the thought process of a young person in regards to contraception. So I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Karibuni sana Kange'The and Beatrice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Beatrice, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Beatrice Khalivisti. I am a fourth-year student at Kenyatta University. I am a peer counselor and also a local coordinator at African Students for Liberty.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. Over to the only man here, the blessed man, man amongst women.
Okay, hello. My name is Kange'The Gaudenzio. Yes, I'm from Taita County. Yeah, Taveta constituency. I'm also privileged to be the VC, Kenyatta University Family Welfare and Counseling Project. Yeah, and also an alumni of Pacemaker International. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be here today. I've always
wanted to be here.
Yeah, I've always heard from the peer counselors, so like we arranged the sessions for them to come, but I've never
been here. But here you are now.
Yeah, and I'm really happy. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now straight into the conversation.
Yes.
Let's start with Beatrice. Beatrice, we'll start from the basics. What are contraceptives?
Contraceptives are devices or a drug that is used to help prevent pregnancy. Yeah. That is basically what a contraceptive is.
So it's best we all learn that they cannot hinder diseases as well.
They cannot hinder diseases. They just prevent pregnancies. Yeah.
Kange'The,
Yes.
from a young person's point of view, what is the young person's understanding of a contraceptive?
Okay, first of all, I would like to take you back when we were in the waiting bay and we were having this conversation while watching our pastor.
Yes,
Mr.
Pastor
Washira.
Jimmy. Yes.
Yes, and we were like, wow, we are like going to deconstruct
The whole conversation that was there.
Yes. But I felt that it's we have a gap. We have a gap. Our youths are quite open out here. They know a lot, and if we stay quiet about the contraceptive subjects, I believe we'll be doing more harm than good.
Yeah.
Because they actually have the information outside here about sexual and reproductive health, but they don't know how to protect themselves through that process.
Yeah.
You see, so I believe we as the society are supposed to come in and talk about these things. Yeah.
Now, Beatrice.
Yes.
How accessible are these contraceptives to the young people?
The contraceptives are very accessible. Very accessible. Depends on actually the preference, because I know most of the young people do interact with the condoms so much. Yeah, and
You've seen them being offered for free.
Yeah, free of charge. Free, very free. 0 cents. Yeah. So I feel the contraceptives, especially for the condoms,
Which is the safest?
Which is the safest actually, because for the condoms it prevents pregnancy and also the sicknesses.
Yes.
Yeah. So they are very accessible. It's only for the others, like the pills, the IUDs, which are supposed to be bought. Yeah. But they are very accessible. You can get them. The condoms are given for free. We as peer counselors do give them. In our room, if you come to our room 272 BSSC, we have condoms. If you want them, you can take. We do refills in the hostels, so they are very accessible
to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's on the part of the campus. But what about the people who feel like they opt to use the likes of the pills, the likes of the IUDs, the likes of the Norplant, these others that are not condoms? Yeah. How well accessible do you think they are?
I think they are accessible, quite accessible. They are in the chemist, but I prefer, if you want to use a contraceptives, if you are not using the condom, then it is advisable that you do consult someone first to know which contraceptive suits you, because when you use the pill, the hormonal contraceptives, they have effects. Different people react to different hormones. Yeah. So if my body is not so comfortable with this contraceptive and I just go buy it over the counter without consultation, it is going to, should I say, mess me up in some kind of way.
Kange'The,
Yes.
back to what Beatrice is saying, you need to consult. But do you think young people take the consultation seriously? Ama they wake up and they decide, you know what, I think using pills would work for me. I think pills are cheaper, or I think an IUD would work for me. Do they just, they self-diagnose, or do they consult?
I feel they do a lot of self-diagnosis, but I also feel it's about the stigma that have been attributed to sexual and reproductive health. You see, the most places where we get this information about generally
contraception,
generally sexual and reproductive health, it is always talked from a point of view, maybe a religious point of view. And I feel it brings stigma. Like, I'm too young, I can't go and face that elderly mama nurse who is there, so it's better I Google and do some self-diagnosis. Actually, that's where peer counseling came from. So initially, it was Kenyatta University Family Welfare and Counseling Project.
Really?
Yeah, which was generally done by the health unit. But it was kind of unsuccessful because hawakuweza kufikia students vizuri. You see? So, they looked at this work plan whereby, how about we find a group of students who relate to each other peer-to-peer, and then we train them on these issues, and then it will be kind of easy for this student to approach his or her fellow peer compared to this student going to see that mama nurse who is there.
So it brought so it's just, we can say that the conversation around contraceptives and even seeking professional help
is really
it has been stigmatized.
Yes.
How do we deal with that situation, Beatrice? How do we go about it?
Well, I think first of all, these people, because if I am to use a contraceptive, if I need to consult someone, then this person who is giving these doctors, or rather these, those who are working in chemist, if I'm buying over the counter, which is not advisable, I should be, I should avoid judging these young people, because there's these times you just go ask a question, you just go to this chemist, and young people do use P2s so much. So imagine you're going to the chemist and you're going to ask for P2 and you're being given these look like, hey, so you are doing these things. So so I think these people who have access to the contraceptives, these people who do give us the advices on contraceptives should try so much not to judge young people, because I think that is the main issue that is making young people not to go for these advices before taking contraceptives. And also I feel like young people should just embrace the fact that sex is there and they are going to do it. So if you want to do it, then be ready.
The right way.
Do it the right way. And go ask for the right way to do it if you don't know how, and just protect yourself.
Wow. Kange'The, maybe take us through how many types of contraceptives are there?
Okay, there are several. There are several methods of contraceptives, and they are classified differently. So we call them methods, and then in the methods we have types of that method. So for example, we have a barrier method. The barrier method consists of the condoms, diaphragms, and cervical caps. We have the hormonal. So generally hormonals are hormones you take in to kind of control hormones that generally control your body activities. Yes, and then we have they're called the intrauterine devices, IUDs. And then we have the natural family planning, and then we have the others which are kind of extreme. People don't like talking about them. Sterilization, where we talk about things like vasectomy, and tubal ligation.
Take us through. There is this contraceptive that was trending about 2 weeks ago. I'm sure you both saw it.
Yes.
It has a street name, Sophia. And there was the story of the effects the adverse effects it has on children when the mother uses them. After they've stopped using them, and then now it's time for them to conceive and have children, the effects are not seen on the one consuming them. The effects are seen on the children that have been born of these parents who have been consuming that particular contraceptive, which brings forth the question: how do you tell that a contraceptive is has been certified by the Kenya Medical the Kenya Medical Board rather?
Yes.
How do you tell that this contraceptive imepitishwa na the Kenya Medical Board na this is not good enough? How do you tell the difference?
Okay, for me, I would say the best way to administer these contraceptives is you talk to a gynecologist or a counselor. So you have a conversation, understand your body, understand what works for you and what will not work for you. And then from there, go get the contraceptives. Don't just go buy over the counter. Yeah, so that is the best way you can go about contraceptives.
And also knowing what is legit and what is not.
Yes. For example, actually, we have these IUDs. An easy experiment which we do is like, do these copper earrings irritate you when you're wearing? If no, it can be good for you. If yes. If yes, it's not good for you.
That's how the experiment is done.
That's one of them.
We have both learned something. We have all learned something. I did not know that. Wow. Beatrice, can you say that the young people are really actively taking contraceptives?
Yeah. The young people are actively taking contraceptives, and I feel like the most abused contraceptive, I feel like it's not a contraceptives, it's more of an emergency pill than a contraceptives. But most young people do use it as, the full-time contraceptive.
The P2.
Yeah, the P2. Because, you just had unprotected sex and you're like, oh, okay, I'll go for the P2, I feel like that is usually the most abused contraceptive. But for the P2, it is advised that the P2 should be taken at most. If you've used it so much until you are just tired,
You have exceeded.
You should have used it like at most twice
a year.
in a year.
Yes.
But every weekend you're like, oh, okay, let me go for it. Because young people are so sexually active, because you cannot tell a young person, hey, don't do this. Because generations are also different.
Yeah.
The generation that are coming, those people are so active. They know about these things. And if you do ask them, they'll tell you details that you even wonder, God, where was I? What was I doing when I was this young? And you feel like you now an ancestor, like you don't know anything. But well, they know these things. And
do you think the Kenyan youth Kange'The go through the right process before getting into sexual interactions? The process of meet someone, get to know them, get tested, and then now go forth and do every other thing?
Okay, before I answer that question, I would like to echo on what Khalivisti has said here. Yeah, so generally, what we call P2, postnatal 2, is not a family planning or is not a contraceptives. It's an emergency pill, and we only administer it in terms of emergency. Only when, for example, maybe you have a burst condom, or we also administer it during post-rape care. Yeah. So what it does, it makes your uterus so hostile that it cannot implant the ovum, and the conceived egg cannot implant. You see. So when you continue using it, it imbalances your hormones. And naturally, your uterus becomes hostile. So it won't implant, even when you're ready to have a pregnancy. Also, it brings about things like ectopic pregnancies. Yeah, so I feel we should really, and we are trying to talk to youths about that, we should really avoid this P2. Let it be administered by a gyna or
a professional.
Yes.
Allow me to ask, is it just because as I was doing my research, I found out the only emergency, it's not just P2 that's an emergency pill. There is another one I saw called level 72 and another one called EC something. Do they do the same role? They make the uterus hostile?
Yes, actually they do.
Everything that is an emergency pill?
Yeah, most. Yeah, so that's the mode of action. Yeah, and they have a lot of severe long-term
implications.
Yes, implications.
So what you're trying to say is the more you use these emergency pills, the more you make your uterus hostile.
Yes.
It will be hard for an implantation to happen.
Yeah, for example, have you heard that there are people who after conceiving, they are tested and they have a pregnancy, they are bedridden from the first month. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's mostly from this.
Or they're the ones who have there's a way that I cannot remember what it is called, whereby once you've conceived, your uterine closing is in a shonwa. It has a name and I cannot remember it. Is it because of the same reason, the fact that the implantation cannot happen? So lazima
Oh, okay.
it has a name. It has a something stitch name. Is
the stitch done inside the uterus or outside the cervix?
Outside the cervix.
Okay, I won't answer that because I'm not quite sure.
I will give you an answer.
Yeah.
Moving forward, Beatrice, what advice would you give to these young people?
Okay, my advice to the young people is that use contraceptives, and I'd advise the young people, I'd advise them to go for the barrier method contraceptives, the condoms, because for that you are so certain, and it has zero effects. It has zero effects on your hormones, so you just have to use it, and it also protects pregnancies, infections. So yeah, you are going to do this thing. And I know we are young people, generations are so different right now. We are going to do these things because these things do exist. So just be careful and just protect yourself.
Thank you. Kange'The, a word of advice to the young people?
Okay, for me, before I go to the young people, I'll talk to the older generation to embrace this new generation. We know a lot of things, and it's either you allow us to understand these things better or we'll just mess up. You see, and I'll also advise we have a lot of contraceptives and methods of family planning, but for the youths I would really advise them to use the condoms, because first of all, I wouldn't like to call it the way it's coming. I'm talking about seriousness of relationships in terms of this. So you can imagine going to put an IUD in
for a short-term relationship.
For a short-term relationship. So condoms are better, and then condoms protect you from both.
Everything.
Yes. Mostly this HPV virus. You've heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah, long term it causes cervical cancer, and men are the carriers, but it doesn't affect them, you see. So when using other methods, you can imagine the HPV is in you, and then long term it's cervical cancer, and cancer is really quite expensive to treat.
It is true.
Yeah, so embrace condoms. I would really say that.
Wow.
Yes.
As we wind up, some word of advice. You said do not get into short-term relationships and use contraceptives.
Okay, I didn't say that.
Putting words into your mouth.
So for us peer counselors, what we do, we don't tell you what to do. We give you the information you're supposed to have at that point of time. Yeah, so what you do with that information is totally up to you, and we don't judge. Either you are young, you are old, we'll see you. You are straight, you are gay, we'll see you. You are welcome. Yeah, in KU we are situated in BSSC, room 272. Yeah, so we'll handle your case, and if it's quite heavy, we have referrals because we work under the health unit, the Kenyatta University Family Welfare and Counseling Project.
Yes.
Yeah, so you are sure you'll
Get help.
You'll
The help
get
that
help.
you
Yes,
you'll
yes.
not be judged.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting. Where can we get you on social media? Maybe if there's anyone who'd like to reach out to you.
Okay, my social media my social media tags are Kange'The, Gaudenzio, Mutu in all social media. Okay, I'm not in TikTok, but all others, that's the name. Kange'The, Gaudenzio, Mutu.
Wow. You've said, where do we get you inside the campus?
We are situated in BSSC room 272. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much for this conversation. Beatrice, your social media and where we can get you.
My social media, I'm so active on Facebook. You can reach me on Facebook so easily compared to any other platform at Beatrice Khalivisti. That is it.
Beatrice spell for us. Please spell for us.
Beatrice Khalivisti is KHALIVITSI. Beatrice Khalivisti.
Wow. Thank you so much. Even for the echoing of the voice of a young person, we don't take that for granted. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to seeing you again. We've had her before here.